Do you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. My audio was down. And yes, I'm not gonna blast in your ears that you guys complain about, which I'm gonna be again getting complaints on. So what was I saying? What was I saying? Okay, so something interesting is happening where a lot of people, are dealing with some issues, like especially my wife came to me and said, "Can you look at my couple of my friends' charts? They're not they're having issues right now with their spouses, having arguments with their spouses." And I'm like, "Can you like that's no difference. We have it every day." So I looked, and it quickly registered to me. I'm like, "Oh, okay, I know what's happening right now." And this is probably not for everybody, but probably for a majority of the people. Okay? And I'm going to share a screen with you on what is happening with the current sky, especially when it comes to relationship and marriage, and especially if you're in a relationship or if you're in a marriage. Certain people are going to feel this strain. Like there's going to be unnecessary arguments, unnecessary blowing off, and then the most smallest and the useless things will become big. Okay. So when I was looking at the chart of my spouse's friend, then I noticed, like, okay, right now what's happening is Mars, Venus, and Sun are conjunct together, while Venus is debilitated in the sign of Virgo. Venus is what? Venus is relationships, marriage, spouse, partner. Mars is what? Aggression, violence, it's assertiveness, it's being physically active, physically dominating. And Sun is naturally ego and domination. And if you use logic, this is why it's very important in astrology to have logic to know logic. You got a hot planet, Sun. You got the hot planet known as the god of war, Mars. And the two hot planets are surrounding a beautiful princess, beautiful figure, beautiful personification of femininity. I just created that word. Trademark. Femininity. Venus. Um, and so what happens is Venus, which represents our ability to love, ability to express ourselves, to another person, like, hey, how do I feel about you? Well, right now it's being so heated. It's like, I don't know what to say about you. I hate you. No, I love you. Somebody get me up. Okay, no. I love you. Oh, get off my face. That's what's happening in the sky. And this is for every single human being on this planet. It's affecting the entire Earth, okay, in the current sky. But just because it's affecting the entire Earth does not mean all 7 billion, 7.3 billion now. I'm pretty sure we're at 8 billions already. Um, are not going to deal with this. People who are going to deal with this are the people who have this particular planetary conjunction of Sun, Venus, Mars going over their seventh house, Venus itself, or aspecting the seventh house and so if you look at this chart, I'll go to scene two. So if you guys see this chart, I don't know if I can, if you guys see my mouse, see where the number 6 is? That's the sign of Virgo, number 6. And Mars, Venus, Sun are conjunct together, and especially Mars, Venus are in the nakshatra of Uttara Falguni. And Mars and Venus and Sun are receiving the aspect of Ketu from the 10th house. From the sign of Capricorn, Ketu is looking at the 6th house with its 9th aspect. Okay? So, in this particular scenario, Ketu is also the significance of land and being conquered, the conquered army. Ketu represents implosion. Ketu represents explosion. Yes, Ketu actually represents implosion. Yes, Ketu also represents terrorism. So, what is the job of a terrorist? To blow something up, right? So here, because it's this 9th aspect, it's going to put this father figure aspect upon the ninth, upon Mars, Venus, and Sun. Meaning, the person themselves will act like the father figure within the relationship. And when they do that, that's where the battle is going to start. And because Uttara Falguni Nakshatra is operating, Uttara Falguni Nakshatra is a nakshatra of criticism. These people love to criticize anything and everything. Especially, they become great movie critics. They become like critics of artworks. But especially because Venus is in it with Mars, they become critics of their spouse. I don't like what you're doing. Oh, I don't like, what's happening here. Oh, I don't like your way and this and that. And so when I asked my wife, okay, tell me in what is it that they're fighting about? And I'm not gonna go deep into it. Just that they're arguing on the most smallest thing. You know, um, whether they should go here, whether when they should go to their mother-in-law's house, or whether they should go to their mother-in-law's house, the wife and husband, and they're blowing up on that. Look, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go here for Halloween. I don't want to go to there for Halloween. I know your brother's doing this, and he always very rowdy in this. And the other one are having arguments over dinner. Like, you're love cooking this way, I don't like this. And the most nonsensical things are being blown up. So um, that's one of the things that, you know, uh, you will see with this Venus. So till November 2nd or 3rd, actually, no, I think November 3rd, Venus moves into the sign of Libra. So till November 3rd, this energy, especially if it's going over your Venus and 7th house or aspecting the 7th house, it is going to do this. It is going to bring unnecessary thing. And both the friends she was telling me about, it's transiting in the 7th house from the ascendant. For the others, transiting the 7th house from the moon. Remember, transits are judged from the moon. From the moon, it is going to happen. You are going to deal with it. From the ascendant, you are going to play some own free will catalyst role into that thing. So this is why you need to, this is why I'm telling everybody who's like probably dealing with this, you know, um, you need to be aware that the more you criticize your better half for no apparent reason, the more it's going to come back at you. The best thing to do is just be that in this moment. The best thing to do, take your spouse out to dinner. I'm like, shit, I should just take my wife out for dinner. Although, man, it's amazing. She's, no matter what transit happens, we always see, me and my wife has a very good communication. Always, no matter how much we fight or argue, it's like within 5 minutes we're done with it. That's the beauty of us. But some other couple, because see, my wife is aware of these things now. Within 2 years, whenever things happen, I'm like, look, this transit is happening. It could be affecting this. that actually made it better. She's like, is there something happening? I'm like, yeah, this and this is happening. Oh, this is why my teacher is going through this or that's going through it. I'm like, yeah, probably. So when I'm looking at these people's chart, it's clearly showing that okay, this is just the minute, and it's literally started at when Venus was around 3-4 degrees of Virgo, which was pretty much the start of the Uttra Falguni Nakshatra. And then from Uttra Falguni is going to go into the Hasta Nakshatra, where it's going to become a little bit more calm because it's a nakshatra ruled by moon. Hasta is what? Healing with your hands. So even though Venus is debilitated till November, it is only going to last till, I think the Venus is probably going to move into a, let me see where it's at right now. Venus is at 7 degrees, so I would say like 4 or 5 days, it'll move into Hasta Nakshatra. It'll calm down. It'll become more healing. Like Venus will be all about wanting to heal what it's around, around in surroundings. A lot of people who are scared, oh my God, I have a Venus debilitated in my horoscope. I'm like, what does that mean? It means nothing. I want to see the nakshatra and the pada. Now, and then what's going to happen is Venus is going to move into the nakshatra of Chitra. And let me see when it's going to move. I don't know if I can share this part with you guys. I think October 20th, in Hasta still. 29th. 29th, it's coming into Chitra. 25th, it might come into. Yeah, around the 27th is going to enter into the nakshatra of Chitra. 27, 28. One of those days. Okay? So within Chitra, Venus is going to become extremely creative, artistic. And with passion of Mars being with Venus, it is going to ignite that creativity within the relationship and a marriage. Like, oh, we should do something fun together. But remember, Mars is still going to be in nakshatra of Uttra Falguni. Even then. Yeah, it's still going to be in Uttra Falguni nakshatra. So the criticism of Mars is still going to be there. This is why Venus really needs to move out of that Libra situation for it to, find that energy back again. Like Venus will feel like, oh, I'm home again. For me now, relationships and creating a balance in relationship is what matters now. Right now, it's right next to the sun. It's right next to Mars. So especially if you're single and you're going into a dating scene, I mean, don't be surprised if you have bad dates, especially if this is happening in your seventh house from the ascendant or the moon, or this conjunction is going over Venus. See, the conjunction or any planet going over a planet, it'll always affect its kark avastha more than anything else. So Venus is the significator, the karaka of relationship and marriage. Seventh house is the house of relationship and marriage. And this is where, and one of the other things that I was noticing of the friends that were going through this simultaneously, they obviously had a low score, low Ashtak Varga score. That also matters in transit. They had a score of below 26. One had 26, one had even like 22. So obviously that weaker score of those houses where this transit was happening, it is going to ignite it. So just be aware if you're like, understand mentally, why am I pushing so much criticism upon my better half? Well, that's probably because this complete combustion and manipulation of Venus, which is happening. Remember, as above, so below. Something I just want to make you guys aware. If you're like trying to set up your first date with somebody, like you're talking and you're like, hey, let's meet up tomorrow or something. Perhaps it's better to meet towards the end of the month when Venus is in, Chitra Nakshatra, or at least Hasta, which is going to move into like 2 or 3 days. If you're gonna go out, set it up in Hasta. Chitra is going to be more creative. Hasta is going to be more of a healing thing. So if you're trying to connect with somebody, heal. But again, remember, Mars is there. It's not going to be 100% healing. It's going to be healing with criticism. So if you're trying to go back into the dating scene, wait till November 3rd onwards and then start your dating scene. Especially if you have this particular Venus going over your Venus with Mars or the 7th house. Even the aspect is not going to do as much. Forget the aspect. Make sure it's not going over the 7th house from the ascendant or the moon or over your Venus, and you should be fine. So that's something I just wanted to lay out. And all I am going to, and I know many of you who are new here are probably going to be saying, what is he talking about Ashtak Varga? I will be making a video on it sometime next week on my original channel, ARS channel, which is my main channel where I talk about astrology and no transit. So I want to make it that. And in case if you do not know what your Ashtak Varga score is, which is in the report, so once I make the video, you can see. For that, check out the links in the description. Video is done, or just go to option 5, 6 is the report you get, and you'll see it in the report of what the score is. Now, I'm gonna warn in the last video or the next video that I'll make with Ashtak Varga and this. Just think twice or 10 times before you want to see your score, because many people have this mental burnout when they see their Ashtak Varga score. Oh my God, my second house of wealth is receiving this much score. I will never have money. Or my 12th house receives so many high scores. I'll always spend money, or this and that. Be careful of how much you want to know about astrology, because it mentally screwed me for like maybe a couple of years back in 2005 and 6 when I saw my Ashtak Varga scores. I'm like, oh my God, this is hideous. No wonder I'm struggling. No wonder this is happening. All these bad things are happening. But then you have to learn the deeper things. You have to learn the deeper things of Ashtak Varga. Just the score itself is not enough to determine the good or bad. So anyway, guys, yes, so check out that. And then I have my, I finally, yes, I forgot to mention to you guys last time that I also have the Dasha reading open again. This time I'm being more careful of how many I want to take, how many I want to do, because it was just too much for me. I had to like literally refund people. So this time I have a little bit more coordinated way of what I do. So anyway, yeah, that's my on the transit. Yeah. So, is anybody else having this? Actually, yeah, this is great time period. Is anybody having this and dealing with this situation in their relationship? Like going over the 7th house or Venus, this conjunction. Yes, I do break it down. Like in the reading, I don't go into much technical. I go more into what is happening and what should happen. So in the reading, yes, I do that. I'm not like giving you all these technical words and say, go figure it out. I'm just telling you exactly what is happening. Like I'm talking to a 5-year-old kid. That's the simplest way of explaining what's happening in a person's chart. Should happen, that will happen, that will happen. So yeah, let me know if you have this happening in your 7th house or Venus. If you're going through the same thing, it'll be interesting to see how many others are going through that similar pattern. And also another thing, Saturn, a lot of people are saying, like, oh, Jupiter moving into Scorpio is bringing out all these scandals, this sexual scandals that is happening with Harvey Weinstein in Hollywood. What I say about this is this: you can't take one event in one country and say, look, Jupiter is now doing this. See, the sexual scandal is coming up. No, is there sexual scandal happening in Canada, Venezuela, Australia, India, Pakistan, China, Russia, Slovakia, UK? If it's happening globally, okay, yes, it's doing something. But if it's just one celebrity who is able to be on the news and spread the news all across the globe, well, it's just their own horoscope. It's something happening in their horoscope that their sexual scandals are coming out. Perhaps Harvey Weinstein may have, and then Nakshatra is Kritaka or something. Who knows? May have Jyeshtha Nakshatra somewhere. We don't know. So when you look at all these mundane events of the world, don't just quickly jump into it. See, is it do with the country or the individual? Like Saturn is in the Gandhanta point right now. Literally, it's at Gandhanta point in Scorpio, in Jyeshtha Nakshatra. Now that is something we can see because it's an untying of the knots. Like all the mess that was accumulating for the past 20 years is being untied in the chart of Harvey Weinstein. So there's no accurate time of birth for him there, but depending upon the house that Saturn is transiting for him from the ascendant or the moon, you will see. And I think his moon is changing within the 12-hour scenario. But we don't even know if his moon is here or his moon is here. So this is why it's important to not label things on a mundane basis, unless, of course, you're looking at that country's chart or you're looking at the world. And just say Jupiter and Scorpio, all the sexual scandals are going to happen. Jupiter has nothing to do with sexual scandals in Scorpio. Jupiter is more about knowledge and learning about the hidden knowledge, the occult. And Jupiter is about dealing in stock market. In Jyeshtha Nakshatra, Jupiter is about unaccounted wealth. Dealing with, hidden wealth. So, and obviously Venus is in Venus right now. So you got to look at the individual chart most of the time. A celebrity is a person that is a country in itself. Why? Because in the news you'll hear something about Russia, something about North Korea, but then you'll hear something about Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, or like right now Harvey Weinstein. So they become this news themselves. They become this country themselves. So we think like, oh, see, that's why it's happening, because this is happening. That no, unless you know their time of birth, you can't really say anything or why it's happening. It's happening because of his chart, 100%, but it's not affecting the entire world. Okay? So please know that. So anyway, guys, we will see you for the November horoscope in a week. So maybe I'll make another transit video. All right? Bye-bye.